On average, it costs between $11,000 and $14,000 to install a central air conditioning system. However, you'll also end up spending thousands of dollars every year on electricity bills and repairs. That is why one old idea keeps going viral. It sounds almost too perfect. No compressor, no refrigerant gas, no loud outdoor unit, no monthly power drain from a machine fighting the sun all day. Just water, sunlight, night sky, and a flat roof. The system is called a roof pond. One famous version was known as Skytherm. Instead of hiding a massive machine beside the house, it places a thermal battery directly above the living space. During the day, water absorbs heat. At night, the roof opens itself to the cold sky and releases that heat back into space. In the right climate, with the right structure, the energy bill for heating and cooling can fall close to zero. So people ask the obvious question, why did America ignore it? The easy answer is tempting. Some say the HVAC industry buried it because a house that cools itself is bad for business. That explanation feels satisfying, but it is not complete. The harder truth is more interesting. This system really can work. But before anyone pumps thousands of pounds of water onto a roof, they need to understand the brutal engineering problem hiding behind the beautiful physics. Free energy is real, free mistakes are not. Harold Hayes' solution was unlike anything you've likely seen before. In the 1960s, he tested a serious passive design idea in the Sonoran Desert, one of the hardest places to prove that a building can stay comfortable without a conventional cooling machine. The basic Skytherm idea was simple but radical. Stop treating the house like a sealed box that must be rescued by electricity and start treating the roof like a controlled thermal engine. Visualize a clean three-dimensional cutaway of the house. The living room sits below. Above it is a metal ceiling deck. Directly on top of that deck are shallow water containers spread across the roof. Over the water are movable insulation panels. When those panels open or close, the house changes behavior. It can either collect heat, block heat, store heat, or release heat. The genius is water. Water has high specific heat capacity. That means it can absorb a large amount of thermal energy before its temperature changes dramatically. In plain English, water is a thermal battery. During a hot day, the insulation panels cover the roof pond from direct sunlight. Inside the house, warm indoor air and radiant heat rise toward the ceiling. The metal roof deck transfers that heat into the water above it. Instead of the room getting hotter and hotter, the heat is pulled upward into a mass that can hold it. Then night changes everything. When the outdoor air cools and the sky becomes clear, the insulation panels slide away. Now the roof pond faces the night sky. This is where the system becomes almost poetic but still completely physical. The roof is not just looking at the air above it. It is radiating heat toward the cold sink of the upper atmosphere in outer space. Nocturnal radiation is like opening a thermal window to the universe. The water releases the heat it collected during the day, and by morning that same water is cooler again, ready to absorb another day of indoor heat. For winter, the logic reverses. The water can collect solar heat during the day, then the insulated cover helps push that stored warmth back down into the living space at night. That is why Skytherm was so fascinating. It did not fight nature with brute force. It timed the building to nature. Reports on Hayes' Skytherm describe it as a passive system using a roof pond, plastic bladders, and movable insulation panels, operating without compressors, pumps, circulating fluids, or electrical cooling equipment. The same technical idea also appears in later roof pond research, which found that some roof pond variants can maintain indoor thermal comfort while reducing active heating and cooling demand. So when people say this system can cut heating and cooling energy close to zero, they are not completely wrong. In the right dry climate with the right roof, the right controls, and the right maintenance, the physics is real. The house is not magically creating comfort. It is moving heat at the right time, storing it in water, then dumping it into the night sky when nature gives that cooling away for free. And that is exactly why the next question matters. If the physics is this elegant, why is this not sitting on every roof in Arizona, Nevada, Texas, and California? The roof pond is not ignored because the physics is weak. It is ignored because the engineering is unforgiving. Yes, there is an economic reason. Builders like simple, repeatable houses. Developers prefer fast construction, familiar materials, and systems they already know how to price. A roof pond asks for stronger framing, heavier structural design, better waterproofing, and more careful inspection. The builder pays for that complexity up front, while the homeowner receives the lower energy bill later. That is the classic split incentive. But money is only the first layer. The real problem is weight. Water is brutally heavy. 1 cubic foot of water weighs about 62 pounds. Spread that across a roof, and the beautiful thermal battery becomes dead load. A normal residential roof is designed for roofing materials, wind maintenance access, and local snow loads where required. A roof pond adds a permanent mass, sitting above the living space every hour of every day. In many designs, that can mean 2 to 3 times more roof load than a conventional roof assembly. Now place that house in California or Japan. The issue is no longer just weight, it is movement. During an earthquake, water does not sit still like concrete. It sloshes. That moving liquid can act like a swinging mass on top of the building. Instead of helping the structure, it can push and pull against the walls and roof frame at the worst possible moment. A system that looks elegant in a calm desert model becomes a structural nightmare in seismic zones. Then comes the second reality, water damage. A roof pond only works if the water stays exactly where the designer intended. One puncture, one aging membrane, one bad seam, one fallen branch, and the system changes from passive cooling into an indoor flood risk. In a wood-framed house with drywall ceilings, trapped moisture can lead to mold rot staining and expensive repair. This is not a small leak under a sink. This is water stored above the room where people sleep. And the final myth is the phrase, no moving parts. That sounds clean, but it is not true in practice. The system needs large insulation panels moving across the roof every day. Those panels need tracks, wheels, guides, motors, covers, sensors, or manual operation. Outside those parts face dust, leaves, snow, ice insects, heat, ultraviolet radiation, and wind. If the panels jam, the thermal logic fails. If the motor fails, the roof stops behaving like a smart thermal engine. Maintenance moves from the side yard to the rooftop. So the problem is not that roof ponds are fake. The problem is that they demand a house designed around them from the beginning. They are not a casual weekend upgrade. They are architecture, structure, waterproofing, climate science, and maintenance, all stacked above your head. So the honest verdict is this. The roof pond was a brilliant 20th century invention, but it is not a simple 21st century retrofit. It belongs to the same family as many early engineering breakthroughs. The concept is beautiful. The physics is real. But the package is too heavy, too vulnerable, and too dependent on maintenance for most modern homes. Think of it like a steam-powered carriage. It proved that a machine could move without a horse. That was revolutionary. But once safer, lighter, more controllable systems arrived, the old machine became a historical lesson, not the default solution. Roof ponds sit in that same category. They show us what buildings can do when they use thermal mass and the night sky intelligently. But they also show us why comfort technology has to survive. Rain, wind, earthquakes, careless maintenance, insurance rules, and ordinary homeowners who do not want to climb onto the roof every season. The better lesson is not put a lake over your bedroom. The better lesson is use nature's temperature stability without putting your house at risk. That is where geothermal heat pumps become the modern version of the idea. Instead of storing water above your head, they move heat through pipes buried underground where the earth stays far more stable than the outdoor air. The system still uses equipment, and installation is not cheap, but it avoids the biggest roof pond problems. No giant water load on the roof, no sloshing during earthquakes, and no ceiling flood if a membrane fails. Then there are phase change materials, or PCM. Some modern wallboards can contain microscopic wax capsules that absorb heat as they melt and release heat as they solidify. In simple terms, they act like hidden thermal mass inside the wall. You get some of the heat buffering benefit of water, but without open water rooftop tanks or thousands of pounds hanging over the living room. That is the real upgrade. Not rejecting old passive design, but translating its best physics into safer materials and smarter systems. That is the real lesson behind the roof pond. Nature does offer free energy. The sun gives heat. The night sky removes heat. The ground stores stable temperature. The mistake is thinking every natural idea is automatically safe once it looks clever on paper. Roof ponds were not pushed aside only because of some dark conspiracy. They faded because gravity is real. Water is heavy, materials age, roofs leak, and homeowners need systems that work quietly for decades, not experiments that demand constant attention above their heads. So here is the choice. If you were building a new home from scratch with enough budget for a stronger foundation, stronger framing, and professional engineering, would you put a roof pond above your living room to cut heating and cooling bills close to zero? Would you rather pay the bill and sleep without worrying about water dripping onto your face at midnight? Write your answer below. And if sustainable architecture interests you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching.